New York. From his first rally in the Bronx back in May to his massive sellout of Madison Square Garden, Trump has always touted that New York was in play.
Yeah, even though the state's electoral votes obviously went to Harris, voters in all 5 boroughs, as well as suburban counties on Long Island, still shifted towards Trump by leaps and bounds. Joining us now is New York Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis. Congresswoman, first of all, congratulations on your win.
Well, thank you very much.
Have you had any sleep?
We got some last night.
We saw Trump obviously win the popular vote and make significant gains with voters in New York. What's your reaction to that? Just to look at the numbers from this year compared to 2020.
Well, look, people in New York are just fed up. They've seen this Biden-Harris created migrant crisis come to our city where gangs have taken over parts of New York. They're spending billions of dollars to house people who are wreaking havoc in our city in luxury hotel rooms, and they see that New York is a sanctuary, a city that instead of deporting them after they commit a crime, they get released back onto the street and they go back to that luxury hotel room that you and I, the taxpayers, are paying for. And so this was a very big message that needed to be sent to the Democrats, from Harris to Schumer to Hochul and to Mayor Adams, that people are unhappy with what's going on in our city and our country. They want border security, they want common sense restored, and they want to make sure that this country is affordable and prosperous again.
So the president-elect performed 22% better in the Bronx and Queens than he did in 2020 as well, looking at the numbers here. And we know that a lot of Latino and Black people live in those communities as well. You mentioned border security and immigration being top of mind issues. What else drew them to Trump in this election, do you think?
Well, I think the fact that President Trump showed up, he didn't leave any stone unturned. He came to the Bronx. He did a rally there. He went to the barbershops, talked to the people. Coming to Madison Square Garden, making sure his message was heard that he was going to end this mass illegal migration, but also restore legal pathways, right? This is the thing. People in New York City, and I believe immigrant groups, which I have a lot of immigrant groups in my district, they were angry that they were prioritizing border crossers that paid the drug cartels for court dates for immigration when you have people like their relatives who are waiting in line, did everything right, have paid attorneys, have followed our laws and didn't break our laws and commit any crimes, and yet they're being shoved to the end of the line further down. That was, I think, something that was very upsetting to immigrant groups in New York City and throughout the country. And so President Trump did very well there. But I think the economic issues as well. You know, he said he was going to stop New York City congestion pricing. That was another tax, another cash grab. People want this country to be affordable. New York City is where we're seeing it the least affordable. Why? Because of the crazy anti-energy policies of the state and the country. President Trump's going to make it more affordable by making sure we're producing more domestic energy, which, as you know, is used to manufacture, to produce, to transport, to refrigerate food. That's one of the reasons why we've seen these prices skyrocket, both at the pump and your utility bills and food. So I feel that people just wanted to have a balance. And in New York, sadly, we don't have that balance. And that's why you saw more Republicans being voted in, particularly like where I represent. We flipped the state Senate seat as well, which was fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. So this red wave, you know, it reached Long Island, where Nassau County picked a Republican candidate for the first time since 1992. You know, we remember the Nassau Coliseum rally in Uniondale, you know, and Trump went there, and a lot of people were saying, why is he having a rally here? You know, it's not, he really should spend time in other states and other areas. But this really does show how important it is for these rallies and for any candidate to come here and spend their time with voters.
You got to let people know what your view is and what you're going to do. And that's exactly what President Trump did. He's not afraid to go into these heavily Democratic areas. And the truth is, what do people have to lose in New York by voting Republican? Things have gone so downhill under Kathy Hochul and Eric Adams. And it started with Bill de Blasio, right? And they're the ones who put in place these sanctuary policies that protect criminals from deportation. They're the ones that put in place the bail law that releases criminals over and over again onto our streets, including repeated violent offenders. And they're the ones that are raising taxes and driving people out because the cost of living, you know, and then they cry for money, the state, when they have the biggest budget, most bloated budget in the country, over roughly $240 billion, double the whole budget of the state of Florida, and yet they're crying that they don't have money for a transit system or for the things that New Yorkers actually pay taxes for. They need to prioritize and look at where they're spending our tax dollars. It shouldn't be to put people who are committing crimes in our city in luxury hotel rooms.
Yeah.
That's not what people pay taxes for.
So before I let you go, I want to ask you, what is first on your to-do list for this next term for you?
Well, I think we absolutely need to secure the border. That's got to be number one. We need to make sure that we jumpstart American energy production that is fueled inflation so we can reduce prices. We need to make sure that we get the tax cuts extended, right? Middle working class families benefited from the tax cuts. We saw 7 million jobs created, the doubling of the child tax credit, the doubling of the standard deduction. Those were President Trump's economic policies that worked. So we need to improve upon that and make sure they're extended. So I think that is those are the biggest items. And here in New York City, we need to make sure that congestion pricing is killed for good.
Yes.
And I think
a lot of people would be happy with that.
That's
for
right.
sure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.